Hello, humans. I am Scott Cannon coming to you live on WLTH 1370 AM from the greatest city in all the world. Gary, Indiana. And this is the Counterpoint. Well, folks, unfortunately today is February 27th, which marks the final Wednesday of Black History Month, making this my last segment on the topic. This month we celebrated black inventors like Charles S.L. Baker, who's heated the world with the friction heater, Gladys West, who's responsible for the GPS systems we all have in our cars, computers, and phones, and Lonnie Johnson, who not only changed the way we played as kids with super soakers, but is currently trying to find a way to make green energy a cheap and viable way to save our planet. We celebrated the NAACP, who basically fathered and mothered the modern civil rights movement, changing the lives of millions of black people whose lives were in constant peril from the beginning of the 20th century to the modern day. We also celebrated two men in the world of sports, in Baseball Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, and arguably the greatest football player who ever lived, in Jim Brown, who both used their platforms as professional athletes to be defiant in the face of racism, always maintaining their manhood in a society that constantly attacked it. But as I've always liked to say at the end of Black History Month, it is important to understand that black history is being made every single day in this country. For instance, just last night, in the third largest city in America, and our next door neighbor, Chi-Town, we saw history being made as the long-running Daly family political dynasty was toppled by not one, but two black women in Lori Lightfoot and Toni Preckwinkle, who won the first round of the Chicago mayoral election. The two black women will face off in May to determine which of them will become the mayor of a world-class city. Never has a black woman ever held such a high office in a city as large as Chicago. And now you have the opportunity for two women. Incredible. Lori Lightfoot was the head of the Chicago Police Board under Rahm Emanuel, and often saw her ideas to deal with police brutality and institutionalized racism within the Chicago PD stifled by the good old Chicago Democratic machine that has ruled for 80 years. If Lightfoot wins, we may finally have a mayor who works to make sure that what we saw happen with Laquan McDonald never happens again. In Toni Preckwinkle, we have a woman who is the president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners and was alderman of the 4th Ward in Chicago. She's also been critical with how the city handles police brutality and has supported affordable housing for the poor. She's shown an independent streak in opposing Chicago's bid for the 2016 Olympics and has even criticized former President Barack Obama in the former president's hometown, where he is still extremely popular. Either way, Lightfoot and Preckwinkle both represent a changing of the guard, not just in Chicago politics, historically dominated by the mob and mob-style tactics, but in America, where perceived racial issues like police brutality and being a woman no longer disqualify a candidate from being taken seriously. I'm sure former Chicago Mayor Harold Washington, who was the first black man to be mayor of that city, is somewhere smiling about the fact that all the battles that he fought all those years ago against the Chicago political machine are finally leading to a city where two black women who share at least some of his progressive views could be running it. And ultimately, that is what Black History Month is all about, charting the progress of our society through the stories of those who fought, marched, protested, sacrificed, and voted to push us forward, leading us to continue the fight to empower the next generation of fighters. Okay, folks, you can chop it up with me on Twitter at The Chemist Lives. The Chemist is spelled with a K, as I am a product of the Gary Community School System, and we can talk about politics, music, sports. You can tell me how terrible I am at this job, or you can listen to me every Monday from 6 to 8 on Issues and Answers with Jonathan Booz. I am Scott Cannon, as the Counterpoint on WLTH 1370 AM. God bless the working class. God bless labor, and I'm out, humans.